If you have ongoing exposure to controlling people, it's a virtual certainty that you're going to experience blurry boundaries, which is why I've created the extensive online course called This Is Me, Establishing Boundaries with the Controllers in Your Life. There's a link below that will give you all of the details, and I hope that you would find it therapeutic. One of the things that's very common when you have had an ongoing relationship with a narcissist is that you can finally get to a place with that individual where you say, you know, this is not working and I need to get away from this. I need to remove myself and go find some greener pastures. Now, that narcissist may be somebody that you have been married to or have lived with. It may be somebody that's inside your immediate family. It could be someone in your social circles. I mean, the possibilities are very broad. It may be a group that you're getting away from because there's been some sort of collective narcissism. One of the unfortunate byproducts that can happen when you finally move on or move away from a narcissist is you can find that there are going to be some people that will more or less imply in their reaction to you, I don't believe you. I think this person or this group over here, they're terrific individuals, and I think you're the problem. And you're over there thinking, oh, you have no idea what I've been living with, or have no idea what I have been on the receiving end of. And as you attempt to explain yourself, you begin realizing there's no one home with that other individual who's you're trying to talk to, and it can be so disillusioning. Now, I want you to think about times when you've been with that narcissistic person and you've already heard some things about the narcissist from other individuals, and you think, oh, this is so inaccurate. I mean, for example, it may be that the narcissist is a family member of yours, and somebody can come to you and say, oh, you have the sweetest sister in the world, or your dad is one of the nicest people, or your sister-in-law, your brother-in-law, they've been so helpful to me. And you're thinking, oh, if you only knew what the rest of us know behind the scenes. But they may be over there thinking you're so lucky. And then when things fall apart, they're going to still hold on to that kind of thinking. It may be that at work, others may think, oh, you're so lucky because this person you're working with is so helpful and has done so many good things for all the rest of us. And again, it's like, well, what you perceive on the outside is not what I experience on the inside. Many times in a divorce, I hear people talk about how they've had to get away from that narcissistic spouse, and then others may approach them with the implication, what do you do getting a divorce? This is not right. You're making a bad decision, and you're thinking, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know some of the misery or some of the abuse or some of the suffering I've been through, and those other individuals won't be persuaded, and they will go against you. It could be that you've had a backstabbing friend and other individuals will go along with that backstabber. You see, let's keep in mind that narcissists can actually be masters at maintaining a seemingly healthy veneer when in fact it's just that, it's a veneer. They can sometimes appear witty or funny. Sometimes they're skilled at kind of telling their story in such a way that elicits empathy or sympathy from other individuals. They can be the kind of people that are very willing to show goodness and friendliness and kindness and helpfulness, which is kind of its own offshoot of what we refer to as love bombing, but they can do it in such a way where they let other individuals know, oh, I'll be the nicest person you ever met, and people can go along with that, so that when you finally come along and say, there's a whole lot here that's just not workable, they can actually look like a pretty decent person. You see, narcissists can remain stimulated with people out there as long as things are not terribly demanding and they're somewhat shallow on a personal level. But when you are the individual who's behind the scenes and you're saying, no, there's a lot more that we have to manage than what the shallowness is, other individuals, they think, well, all I know is my experience with that person's been really good. And so basically we can say, narcissists can be good liars. Okay. And they can create all sorts of impressions that are not at all consistent with what you know. And yet you can still live with the frustration of realizing people don't believe me or they're not with me. And basically what it comes down to is a lot of individuals just don't want to have to grapple on a deeper level with what you're dealing with. Actually, statistics will show that a relatively small percentage of the population, under 30%, don't really have good intuitive thinking skills. And so they don't want to go into that space with you. They'd rather just take the shallow and the superficial explanation, and then you're left hanging in the lurch. Narcissists can be masters at stealth control. They can be, they love to be in control, but they can be controlling without giving the appearance of being controlling. I mean, for example, they can sidle up next to people talking about you, and they can say, well, he or she, they've got the ability to make it seem really good, but oh boy, it's bad. It's really bad. And so they can win people over, but what they're doing is they're laying the foundation for controlling the narrative. Narcissists do not have what we call object constancy, and that's in their relationship with you. Basically, when we talk about object constancy, we're talking about how in healthy relationships you can have difficulties or frustrations and still maintain a commitment. That's what healthy relations do. Narcissist is like, no, I don't do that. So if things get tough over here, then I'm just going to quit on you. And so they go over here with people that they haven't had those kind of problems with. And so you know that these are people who are just, the narcissist is just a fair-weathered friend. And but other individuals don't see that at all. Narcissists fear other people knowing what you know about them, and so they'll do anything and everything in their power to make you look like you're the difficult, problematic individual. And the net repercussion is you wind up really hurting. You can carry around this feeling of disillusionment. You can feel lonely or isolated. It's like, well, the people that I thought were going to be there for me are not, and it can be something that can be very difficult for you to come to terms with. I know that it can leave you at times feeling like you're in this unnecessary defensive posture where you're having to defend yourself. It's like, why am I defending myself? I'm not the one that made things miserable. And you also know that if you express too much frustration with other individuals, it can actually make you look like you're the one carrying around all this resentment, and the narcissist can say, see, this is what I'm dealing with. And so there are times when you have to just sit on much of the emotion that you have, and it can be really difficult and exasperating. See, let's hold on to this though. When you do have these experiences where you remove yourself from a narcissist and others don't believe you, it reminds you that your circle of the true, tight, inner friendships or confidants is going to be maybe a little smaller than what you had originally hoped. It doesn't mean that no one can be in that inner circle with you, but that's a real treasured kind of position that not a lot of people can maintain with you, and this can be proof positive toward that. But in the meantime, I do hope that you can hold on to your own trust and your own belief in yourself. Even if you have made some poor decisions or you've miscalculated with that narcissistic person, I hope you can still believe in yourself, knowing that you learn, you grow, you're always in a mode where you can say that whatever difficulties I've had, I can be a better person because of it. If it is possible, it's good for you to go ahead and explain yourself to people that might matter to you. They may or may not believe you, but it doesn't mean that you just take your licks and move on. Sometimes you need to speak up. But then if other individuals still refuse to make any real concerted attempt to know you and understand you, then you have to start asking, well, is that somebody whose approval or affirmation I have to have anyway? If that's what we have, then that person never really was much of a friend or an ally in the first place. I do believe that truth over time has a way of rising to the surface. I remember so well a man once told me it was 15 years after he'd been divorced that a friend of his former wife came to him and said, you know, I was really confused by you way back then, but over the years, I learned that much of what people didn't see was really going on in your ex-wife, and she's a miserable person. And so I see it now, and I hope that you can forgive me for, you know, some of the lack of lack of encouragement I gave you back then. And, you know, it didn't change the narrative from back then, but 15 years later, the truth had come up to the surface, and that might happen with you. But then let's go back and reiterate. There is no substitute for your integrity. There's no substitute for your belief in yourself. It may be that you'll have learned the hard way that not everybody that you thought was a friend is the kind of person that really wants to sift things out. They just want things simple and uncomplicated, and sometimes life can be complicated. But then when you see that, I'm hoping it can also prompt you to say, you know, I'm just that much more appreciative of people who do take the time to empathy. And it underscores how necessary that ingredient is. I hope you can stay committed to the good ingredients, but you just know that sometimes the people inside that style of living, the number is not going to be as high as you like. But let's not be all or nothing in black and white. It can still exist, and you need to continue to move forward. Now, I know that some of you are struggling and hurting, and I hope that videos such as this can give you some good insight and awareness and some encouragement as you continue in your journey. I thank you for allowing me to be on the journey with you. If you've not already hit the subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so. We'll keep more videos coming in your direction. If you have a need to sift this out with a therapist, we're sponsored by the people at BetterHelp.com, and there's a link below that you could where you could go and seek out the help from a whole team. You can select from a whole team of licensed professional therapists. If that's a need you have, I would strongly encourage you to go in that direction. I also have my therapeutic courses. These are video classes where I put a lot of work into them. There's multiple videos and written material, and then questions that guide you in a therapeutic direction. Ready, Set, Connect about developing healthy connection skills. This is me about establishing clean boundaries, Free to Be, finding yourself despite the controllers. And if you would find those to be helpful, we have links below to that. We also have my podcast now. We have books and other resources. And again, I want to thank you for letting me be a part of your journey with you. I know it can be disillusioning when people say, well, I just don't believe you. I hope that you believe in you and that you can be a person of dignity, respect, and civility. That's what we stand for here on Team Healthy. And in doing so, despite the narcissists and their allies that go along with them, I do believe that it is in fact possible for you to find your place of peace.